to Eye on Port here on Metropolitan Television. Eye on Port is proudly brought to you in association with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link Network Services, the operators of the Integrated Customs Management System, ICOMS, at the ports. The program is also streamed live on our social media pages. On Facebook, you can watch us live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA Ghana, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA Ghana. On YouTube, we are streaming live at Eye on Port Ghana. Eye on Port Ghana. We'll also be getting interactive with you, and so you can send us your messages ahead via our WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177. At the appropriate time, we shall also activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We'll be back right after this break. Please stay.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance
for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
So you're all come back. It's now time for us to take a look at some of the happenings in the port and maritime industry in the course of last week. And one thing that happened was the fact that Meridian Port Services, MPS, took productivity to another level when it broke its own record of productivity. We bring you that story. Plus the fact that the Ghana Navy, you would have heard, also received some 4 vessels, 4 patrol vessels in the port of Takoradi. We also have that story for you. And just today, Crisis Management Company, LCB Worldwide Ghana, also went to the OKAI spare parts market to disinfect more than 1,000 shops there as a result of the upsurge in COVID-19. And so let's take a look at these stories.
The Meridian Port Services Limited has recorded 148.83 moves per hour, discharging cargo from the vessel MSC IVANA at Terminal 3 of the Port of Tema. This milestone, achieved on the eve of the new year, breaks the previous productivity record of 139.91 moves per hour done on another vessel, the MSC Levono. The total throughput handled on and off the 365-meter long MSC IVANA was 3,233 TEUs. Speaking to Iron Port, the operations manager at the Meridian Port Services, Emmanuel Hene Ado, indicated that this feat is as a result of the culmination of the investment in infrastructure and superstructure at the port, coupled with continuous upgrading of its human resource.
After the handing over of this great edifice by the shareholders to MPS, Tema Port and Ghana, it required some changes for us to be able to meet the expectations of those who have invested in this edifice. And so over the period, we had to review our yard procedures, our vessel procedures, and also to train our staff to be able to meet these expectations.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Meridian Port Services Limited, Mohammed Samara, also touched on the world-class gating and IT systems that are enhancing productivity levels at the terminal.
As you can see, our infrastructure is a world-class infrastructure, and our equipment is top-notch equipment, and we are also geared with state-of-the-art, IT systems, giving digitalization all through the process, from vessel all the way to consignee, and from exporter all the way to vessel. All that is digitalized.
He said MPS prides itself in helping the Port of Tema reach its ambition of blazing the trail for port and logistics services in the sub-region.
We are a first port of call on this west coast of Africa. The vessel and the service that this vessel belongs to come direct from the Far East. And the vessel is not just bringing us containers for the Ghana and the hinterland of Ghana, but also is bringing some transshipment that will be routed to other ports like Abidjan, like Nigeria, Cotonou, etc.
The MPS boss revealed that MPS will soon inject an additional $150 million into the phase 2 of the port's expansion.
Close to $150 million more investment in infrastructure and superstructure, which creates job opportunities, and certainly, what's most importantly, adds more capacity, handling capacity for Tema Port and Ghana and the industrial sector or trade sector of Ghana.
The Ghana Navy has acquired 4 new fighter vessels for the purposes of enhancing the Navy's capacity in defending and protecting Ghana's maritime domain. The vessels are particularly expected to provide security for offshore installations and other national assets in the oil and gas industry. The flex fighter boats, namely Volta, Densu, Pra, and Ancobra, which arrived on board a merchant vessel, the MV BBC Now, were received at the port of Takoradi. The vessels are 40 meters long, breadth of 7.6 meters, and a draft of 1.89 meters. They boast of a maximum speed of 28 knots and cruise speed of 26 knots. The vessels were built by Penguin Shipyard Company of Singapore, with Israel Shipyard Limited serving as the main project contractor. The main financier of the project is the Ghana Commercial Bank Limited. This is refreshing news considering a plethora of appeals over the past few years for the Navy to be re-equipped in the face of increasing threats of piracy and related insecurities in the Gulf of Guinea. Receiving the vessels on Monday, January 10, the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Issa Adam Yakubu, said the acquisition of the vessels was part of government's decision to discontinue the deployment of armed security guards on civilian vessels to provide the needed security to international oil companies operating in the country.
Issues will definitely increase operational capacity of the Navy. As you are aware, we haven't actually received any major platforms in the last 10 years. They are therefore a welcome addition to the future of the Navy.
Flag Officer Commanding at the Western Naval Command, Commodore Samuel Walker, expressed that this milestone aligns with efforts to safeguard the nation's blue economy.
However, all these boats go a long way to improve the Navy's capacity to conduct patrols at all fields and protect national interests and assets that will provide invaluable revenue to our dear mother country, Ghana.
Vice President of the Israel Shipyard Limited, Oded Breyer, expressed gratitude to the Ghana Navy for its long-lasting relationship with his outfit. The president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, is expected to commission the vessels next month.
Renowned crisis management company LCB Worldwide Ghana Limited on Sunday, January 16, 2022, fumigated shops at ABOSSEY and other market centers within the Greater Accra region. The exercise, which was executed in collaboration with the Ghana Union of Traders Association (GUTA), saw more than 1,000 shops fumigated. The move comes on the back of frantic efforts by government and health authorities to contain the COVID-19 virus, which new variant Omicron seems to be wreaking havoc on the Ghanaian people and endangering the lives of the generality of the people. Sunday's fumigation exercise, according to officials of LCB Worldwide Ghana Limited, is part of the company's corporate social responsibility and is aimed at helping government efforts at containing the pandemic. Chief Executive Officer of LCB Worldwide Ghana Limited, Karim Abu, said the company will continue with such initiatives until such a time that the pandemic is contained. On this part, the Vice President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Clement Boateng, said the union was proud of its relationship and collaboration with LCB Worldwide Ghana Limited, explaining that collaborations in the past have yielded enormous benefits to GUTA and its membership.
World Health Organization have tried as much as possible to put protocols that will be able to, contain this pandemic, and disinfection and fumigation is also one of the protocols. It is on that basis that GUTA, has partnered with LCB Worldwide, which is a world-class fumigation and disinfection company, to embark on this exercise to try as much as possible to help our members in the trading community to put in control of this pandemic.
LCB Worldwide Ghana Limited has been contracted by the government of Ghana to see to the disinfection of all cargoes leaving or entering the port, as well as points of entry and exits.
All right, so those were some local happenings in the port and maritime industry, and they took place in the course of the week. The one from LCB just happened today. Now, tonight our discussions are in twofold. Our main discussion has to do with the role of shipping lines in international trade, and so we'll have an executive from the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana tonight to help us do that discussion. But before then, I would also be examining, a policy that's being rolled out in the port, and that's the truck and trailer identification and inspection policy. We have some officials from the company, that's Auto Consult Ventures Limited, ACVL. They'll be telling us what this policy is about, what they seek to achieve, and what the overarching objective is. And so it gives me pleasure to introduce to you tonight Mr. Bafo J. Mensah. He's Director of Operations, Auto Consult Ventures Limited, ACVL. Good evening, Mr. Mensah, and welcome.
Good evening.
To Port. And I also have Mr. Peter Calva Mensah, IT Manager, Auto Consult Ventures Limited. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening.
Yes, so tell us about this new policy, the truck and trailer identification and inspection policy. What is it about?
Okay, Ken, before I talk about this track, I would like to just seize this opportunity to commend the team. You
can draw your mic close to you so you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to seize this opportunity to commend the team Iron Ports. I think this program is very insightful and very educative.
Thank you very much.
That's giving
indeed.
a platform for people, not just those who operate in the port, but outside also, to really learn about the port.
Absolutely.
I think kudos to the team.
Kudos to our executive producers, Mrs. Esther Jebidonko and Nana Isi Sodabeg. They have been in the background pushing us and guiding and directing us. So we give thanks to them too.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken, I'll come to your question. Truck and trailer identification inspection for port load worthiness. I would like to break it into two folds to make the understanding quite easy. We have identification of trucks and trailers, and we have the inspection part.
Right.
The identification part is where all trucks that operate in the port or wish to operate in the port are registered, where all their documents are validated and verified. After that, they have been identified with an RFID tag. RFID simply means radio frequency identification. A tag is being put on all the trucks that operate in the port so that they can be verified at the port gates, at the various terminal gates, before access is being granted. And also their movement in the port, including their cargo they are carrying, can also be monitored. So that's one part of the project, that's the identification part.
Right.
The inspection for the port load safety part is also where all these trucks, they are being inspected to ensure that all the components that they use in carrying the cargo or used in securing the cargo are present and they are functioning properly. talk about some of their components. It include, let's say if you take a flatbed trailer, we are looking at their twist locks, for instance, because a truck entering the port to carry a containerized cargo definitely have to have a twist lock to secure the cargo. So we inspect to ensure that all your twist locks on the truck are operating or functioning properly. We check to see the main chassis of the trailer to check for cracks or welding. If there are severe cracks in the trailer, we put it on a report so that you can know how you can go into, you can fix that defect. We also check to see if there are welding on the trailer, to see if the welding are done properly or not, also to let you know also. We also check the axles, we check the ties, we check the fifth wheel, we check the kimping, locking mechanism to ensure that everything is in good shape before a truck is being allowed to operate or carry a cargo, because it's about safety. So basically, the whole project is about safety of the cargo and the truck that is carrying the cargo to ensure that it's in good condition, and also to enhance security. Whilst a truck is entering the port, before it enters the port, it's being verified. Its information or data has to be in the port system before a truck is granted access. So basically, that's how the whole project is about.
So tell me, are you going to treat the trailer and the truck as one unit, or you separate them?
Okay, since a trailer can be decoupled and coupled with any other trailer, depending on the cargo the truck is going to carry, they are going to be treated separately. But whilst they are entering the port, they are going to be treated as one. The reason why I'm saying is that we are going to identify the arthead and give it a code, and also identify the trailer. So if today you are entering the port with a flatbed trailer, to say, and tomorrow you enter with a bucket trailer, with the port system or the information, all will be given in the port, so that the port will know that this particular arthead entered the port today with a flatbed trailer, and maybe tomorrow or yesterday he entered with a bucket trailer. So they are going to be treated different. But that doesn't mean whilst we have done the work on them, you cannot decouple it. No, an arthead can always bring a trailer or a different trailer to the port, provided that it has been identified.
All right, Peter, I'll be coming to you, but let me still stay with you a bit longer and find out what necessitated this particular policy. Did you make any observations? Did you conduct any research to, show that there are issues of safety?
Okay. This project, as I said, is all about safety. And we know that safety is very paramount to every institution and every organization. We've worked with GPHA for quite a time now. And from the team that we worked with, the team identified these problems in the ports. And we all looked at the best way of these problems being solved. We all seen numerous times whereby containers are flipped off their trailers in the port. And sometimes it's because they are securing, the components are not well functioning. And we have also witnessed a place whereby trailers, as they are exiting the eastern gate, whilst they are ascending the Gassem Road, their trailers just decouples, and just all these causes accidents. And when these accidents happen, it doesn't affect only the cargo or the owner of the cargo or the truck owner. It affects everybody operating in the ports, because when there's an accident, there will be traffic. Turnaround time will be lost. Monies have to be involved, and all these affect the whole or the entire people that are operating in the port. So basically, this is what the GPHA operating team saw and also made us aware. Then we also brought a solution to these.
Okay, so can you tell us how many trucks you are looking at registering?
Okay, for now, from the discussions and the work being done, we are looking at a little over 20,000 trucks to be registered.
20,000?
Yes.
Okay.
To be registered.
Over how long?
This is how the operations of the trucks in the port are. We have trucks that operate in the port constantly. They do the evacuations, they do the imports and the rest. But there are some trucks that only come to the port when they have a vessel, or maybe when they are being contracted by a third party to come and do the work. So some of these trucks either enter the port, let's say like twice in a whole year or 3 times in a whole year. They don't really operate in the port. So with this, we have registered we have about 6,000 trucks, which we have 2,630 in our systems. With them, their documents have been
validated. You have in excess of 2,000 already in the system?
Yeah, in the system. 2,630 in the system where their documents have been validated and everything is okay. But the rest, we are still working with them concerning some of the companies, the operating licenses that have expired, that's their port operating licenses that have expired. Because if your port operating license have expired, you cannot be in the system. You have to work on that. We are looking at some of them, their documentation, like their roadworthiness, their insurance, and the rest. So all these are factors that we are also looking at. But for now, we can say we have 2,630 in the system. We have a list of about a little over 6,000 already that we are working with to ensure that all their documents are met.
Okay. I'll come back to you, but now let me go to Peter. Peter, you are in charge of IT.
Yes.
And you cannot carry out such a policy without information, without data.
Yes.
So what's the data system like, and how are you going to ensure that it's integrated with the port, data, so that we can have seamless, operations?
Okay, so the system that we've developed, we've had a lot of consultation with the GPHA IT concerning how the data is supposed to be stored, and then the mode of access that they are supposed to have. Also, once the whole project is started and then it's handed over to them. One of such implementations is to make sure that the database is actually hosted on GPHA's network. So at the moment, we've even hosted a server there now. Okay, so what we are also counting on is the security fabric of their infrastructure. Once the data is with them, it means that their infrastructure protects it. It means that if we have to synchronize data from our database to their side, it will be very, very easy. So those are some of the steps that we've taken so far.
Okay. And so the IT component, can you bring us up to speed with the entire IT component of this particular project?
Okay, so at the gate, when it comes to the detection of the tracks, that is during registration, they are given tags, which is pasted on the windscreen of the tracks.
Yeah.
Now,
just like you do with your insurance and road safety.
Yes, exactly. So once the tracks get to the gate, we have installed readers that are supposed to detect the tags. And once the reader detects the tag, it's supposed to synchronize it to the database to find out whether that track is registered, whether it's valid to enter the port. So all that information is actually sent to the one who is monitoring it. Then several steps can be taken from there. Aside that too, we have the handheld, which is handed over to the security. So depending on the design of the gates, with some of the port gates, let's say for instance, Eastern Gate, if a track should enter into the gate before it's detected to be denied access, then it means that turning around will be a problem. So the security that are actually positioned before the gate itself will have the handheld. So they would have to gun and verify if the track is supposed to enter. So if it's not supposed to, then they quickly turn it around. Yes.
Now, walk us through the registration process. If I own a truck and perhaps we've had an engagement and I want to come onto the system, how do I do so?
Okay, so we have forms with GPHA monitoring. So they would have to go there, pick up a form, fill it, and then the instructions are all placed in there. So they handed it over to us, then we can take it from there. Yeah.
All right, Bafo, so let's find out, when do you intend to begin the implementation of this particular policy?
As per timelines agreed on the team.
Have you widely consulted the stakeholders who are involved in this, the truckers, the JAP2s and the others?
Okay, I would like to pick it from the first one, when we intend to start. As per timelines agreed on, we are expected to go live in February.
Okay.
We are expected to go live in February. So as Peter was saying, readers have been fixed and trial tests have been done from last year and everything is working on. So we are looking at going live in February. And concerning stakeholder consultations, we have done a lot of stakeholder consultations. If you look at the project started officially like 2 years ago, but it has taken us a longer time to go live because we wanted to get to all stakeholders, also listening to their worries or their concerns so that we can put it on the table, so that the project also touches all of them. So it will not be like they are being left out. So that's why we have taken this long. So JAP2 has been involved in this consultation. All corporate companies that operate in the port have been involved, and also the third-party transporters are also been involved in this.
So what were their concerns when you met them?
Okay. Their concerns, the biggest concern was that they felt that this project is going to kick them out of business because they are afraid that maybe the inspection or the IT components might not allow them or might not grant them access to the port. But which we have explained to them a number of times, and those who have registered can attest to that when a track is being inspected or for the port load worthiness, all defects that are found are being put on a report and given to the transporter. And you are given enough time to operate or to fix the defects.
Right.
So it's not like we just inspect you today and we find a defect on the track, then that means you cannot enter the port. You have to go and fix it. No, you are still given enough time so that you can fix those defects. Unless maybe the defect that we find is so massive that it cannot carry a cargo. That one, we all will bet that it will be a danger for that track to enter the port to operate. So that one, we caution you and ensure that you do it before we give you this. But immediately we conduct the inspection and we find defects. We give you a report on the defects and we give you a time for you also to go and work on them.
Yeah, I ask because if I am a truck owner and I operate a truck and I hear about this kind of policy and I probably have a feeling that my truck is a bit rickety, I will feel threatened that you want to throw me out of business. And so naturally, I wouldn't be comfortable.
Definitely, definitely. As I said, that was one of the biggest challenges. But as I said, those who have gone through the process can attest to that. The idea of the project, or the main essence of the project, is safety at the port. And safety involves all of us. We all have to play a part. So the idea is not to kick anybody out, but to inculcate the culture of appropriate maintenance in our trucks that we are using, because the trucks carry load, and these loads are quite also very important to all of us. So we have to ensure that these loads are safe from the port to its destination. And also we have to also look at the security aspect of the port, because we all know that the port is a security zone. So any truck that is coming there, at least the authorities should have enough information on the truck to ensure that starting from its registration with the driver's license authority, the insurance, even registration with the port, all that, everything is intact before it's being granted access. So we have really consulted stakeholders on this one, and we assure them that we ACVR have no intention of pushing anybody aside. The authority also have no intention of pushing every truck aside. At least all the cargoes in the port has to go to its destination. And without these transporters, I don't think these cargoes can move. So they are very important to us. They are very important to the authority. That is why this project is also in, for all of us to have a safe environment and a secured environment in the port.
Right. Peter,
Yes.
is this particular policy going to be limited to only the port of Tema, or you would go to Takoradi as well?
For now, we are limiting it to just the port of Tema. Okay. Once we go live and everything is set up, then we can move to maybe any other location.
Okay. All right. So I would want to find out from you, in case you go live and everything's perfect, let's say going live means that you would have a little bit of a pilot, right?
Yes.
And so how long do you expect this piloting to take?
Okay. From everything, we're looking at around 3 months. At least we should take a pilot of 3 months.
And then after that, if it's smooth,
then
you can
go full life.
Okay. There's one sensitive question I want to ask you, and I would pray that you oblige me. Is there a cost component attached to this particular policy?
Yes, please. There's a cost component whereby all transporters pay an amount for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you didn't have any fisticuffs in terms of engagements when it came to this particular aspect of the engagements in terms of costing?
When it came to the cost, at least it also took us time because there were back and forth with us and the stakeholders, the transport stakeholders, for us to agree on what we have agreed on. So it took us time. They also were involved in all these. We have documentation that shows that they also were involved in all these cost analysis. And before it was approved by GPHA for us to use it, the stakeholders also had to approve it before this charge with it. So it's for a year. So when you register, you renew it every year so that we ensure all your documents are still intact and your track is also intact.
Okay. So as you take leave of us, I just want to find out from you, when tentatively in February are you going to start? Because you said you're going to be starting in February. Yeah. Is it from the first week, second week, third week, or last week of February?
By the second week of February, we should be going live and doing a pilot.
Okay. All right. So just some final words to truckers who are probably watching us live tonight, and those who have not been, signed onto the system yet or registered. Why do you think it's important for them to register? Just your final words to them.
Okay. We all know safety. When it comes to safety, is very important to all of us, as we have mentioned it. Security also in the port is also very important to us. You might be having a good maintenance schedule for your own tracks, but what about the other track? If the other track have an accident in the port, as I said, it doesn't affect only that track. It affects everybody that operates in the port. So we are encouraging everybody or every transporter who have not registered as yet to come on board, go to the monitoring department if you're a corporate or a third party and pick a form, then attach all necessary documents and go through the process so that you can have your RFID tag, so that you can be verified at the gate, because the gates are going to be automated. So it's not going to be any humans or the security, it's automation. So you should have your RFID and all your data with the system. And the individuals and the unions also have to go to the JAP2 office also to pick up their forms. And when they pick up their forms, JAP2 executives will endorse and ensure that they belong to their union before we also can work on them.
Right.
And all tracks that have already registered, that are already in their system, we're encouraging them that those who don't have the RFID tag as yet, the RFID tags are ready. Okay. So they should contact ACVL so that they can have the RFID tag fixed so that they can enter the ports smoothly without any.
All right. Great. Thank you very much. Bafua J. Mensah is Director of Operations at Auto Consult Ventures Limited, ACVL. And we've been also speaking to Peter Calva Mensah, IT Manager, Auto Consult Ventures Limited. There's a new policy coming up in the port of Tema, and that's the truck and trailer identification and inspection policy. And they've broken it down for you. I hope you've assimilated it and you are prepared and fired up for the rollout of this particular policy in February. We're grateful to you, gentlemen, for coming on the Iron Port Show. I believe that that's when we call you, you'd oblige us. Thank you very much. Viewers, we'll go for a break. When we return, we swing into our main discussion for tonight, and that's the role of shipping lines in international trade. Please stay.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the project and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, so you're welcome back. And tonight we're now zooming into our discussion proper, our main discussion, and that's the role of shipping lines in international trade. We are privileged to have in the studios Mr. Adam Imoreayana, who is an executive member of the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're taking a look at the role of shipping lines, whom you represent, in international trade. Let me find out from you how year 2021 went for shipping lines in the country.
We can all say that everybody suffered, but shipping had to move trade. So obviously we're very busy, and I think we did our bit. We can't complain because everybody else is complaining. There were challenges, but we've weathered the storm, and I think we kept every country going. As you know, without shipping, no country is independent, and without transportation, it would be a challenge for global trade to spin around. So that is a critical role that shipping lines play.
Now, you mentioned challenges. You mind sharing some of these challenges with us?
COVID came with us. Like I always say, shipping is a business of conscience, you know, and there are so many factors involved in actually manning a vessel. Something like crew. The crew is very important because they actually move the vessel and they ensure that the vessel is safe from one end to the other. COVID brought its challenges with the crew change, and that really affected shipping. I mean, like I'll give you a story about one captain, Captain Capuru of a container vessel. It says it's MV Italy. This captain boarded a vessel in South Africa to ply the Far East route. He boarded the vessel on 28 March 2021. And unfortunately, 2 days after thereabout, he started developing some complications. So I don't want to go into the medical aspect, but bottom line is on the 13th of April, he passed. No, because at that time, you know, at 2020, because at that time, there were so many restrictions, no port wanted him to get off. So can you imagine, he was kept in the cold storage on the vessel for 2 months, you know, until force majeure was declared and the vessel was shipped from Indonesia back to Italy for the body to be given to the family. So these are the challenges. I mean, one of the biggest challenge was crew change. And I think it's improving, and people are talking about how we can speed this up, because these are people whom, whilst everybody is sleeping, I mean, yes, the doctors are working, everybody is working, but they are working 24/7. You know, during the pandemic, people spent as much as 18 months on sea without seeing land. So that is a real toll on them. You know, so those are some of the challenges. When you come locally also, it's to do with all the lockdowns. Although the ports were open, it looks like communication didn't also go down well with people. And as usual, people will give all kinds of excuses as to why cargo should be sitting on the terminals, which is not the best for shipping lines. Because as we always say, shipping lines make their money when the containers are on the sea.
Absolutely.
Right. So those are some of the key challenges that we have faced. There are general challenges which cuts across. I mean, it's not even about the pandemic, but these are some of the key challenges that we faced.
Okay. So we also know about, you know, some challenges in terms of COVID and how it impacted the issue of boxes. Where we understand boxes were locked up, and to date, I think that we're still reeling under that, you know, pressure. Can you bring us up to speed with what actually happened?
Yeah, that is not going to change anytime soon, because if you realize with COVID, I mean, its inception in 2019, you know, everything started slowing down. You know, so manufacturers were not producing, etc., etc. So when things started moving, then what happens is everybody wants to place orders, you know, to augment their inventories, etc. And this then means that, and because of the COVID, that they were laid off, because initially shipping lines were sailing blank, and blank means that they're sailing, you know, at very lower than capacity, and that is obviously a cost to them. So when things picked up, we didn't have a lot of vessels also rolling around, and we had a lot of cargo, so the demand and supply came into place. And that also contributes to congestion in various ports. You know, you see a port maybe in the US or so, you see about over 200 vessels waiting to get in. So what time are they going to get in? What time are they going to discharge? You know, and even when they discharge, what were the issues? Because of restrictions also, some people could not take their cargo early, and there was general congestion in the various terminals. So that contributed to containers locking up. You know, at certain areas. So there was lack of packaging material, and the shipping lines were kind of down pressed. And I don't think we are going to see this turn around immediately. Maybe second quarter thereabout or something, if everything stays normal. So those are the challenges.
Okay. All right. So let me come to my question proper, and that has to do with the role of shipping lines in international trade.
Like I told you earlier, we create the enabling environment for global trade. I mean, like we all know, shipping carries about 80% of volume of cargo around the world. So without us, I mean, what happens? Then the world stands still. And it's not only shipping, I mean, complemented with transportation, etc., because of the multimodal nature of today's shipping. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, but to say that we play a very key role. I mean, we are the center of all what happens at both ends, you know, because people do their transactions, etc., and we have to ensure that we bring either raw materials or finished products to the end or semi-users. So you cannot underestimate the role that shipping plays in international trade.
All right, globally, there was a hike in freight rates. I mean, that's a fact we can't run away from. What accounted for that?
As I just said, you know, the demand and supply issue comes into play. And when it comes to the congestions, you would realize that containers were staying on the terminals even for longer days. And then ports, terminals were kind of congested. Getting out of certain terminals was even a problem. Europe is fine, but other areas are really suffering. I mean, I was looking at some data, which is interesting. When you look at Europe, for instance, the terminal density usage was between 65 to 130%. You know, Bremerhaven was the port that had the 131%. Interestingly, they didn't cause a lot of delays, but other vessels, other ports in Europe caused a lot of delays. We had delays up to anything from 0 to about 10 days. In the US, you're having something between 10 to 45 days. So you can imagine vessels sitting out there. Now, when they come in and they discharge the cargo, what happens? People have to take delivery of it. The ports are congested. So getting out and getting in also becomes a challenge. And so it made it a challenge for shipping lines to even control or manage their empty containers back to where it is needed. And when that happens, the forces compete against each other. And I think everything also happened. You know, shipping has suffered over the period from a financial standpoint. And COVID also hit in. So when you look at it and you look at the decarbonization, I mean, we have to care for our globe. Shipping lines have to also invest in all that. So, you know, a combination of issues. And we have to recoup our costs. So some way, somehow, if we want trade to move, if we want the world to continue going around, then we should support the shipping lines to also be able to survive. Yes.
All right. So what do you think is the way forward out of this these hikes in freight rates? What should we be doing to ensure a reversal?
It's a global issue, right? It's a global issue. I mean, some of the general improvements globally, and I think it affects us locally also, is that government should revitalize the multilateral trade systems, you know, trade liberalization and multilateral actions to benefit the economics and social benefit. But, you know, we are under the threat of trade restrictions now globally. If you watch, a lot of countries are also bringing in all kinds of restrictions. I mean, we have to look at this and maintain that focus that we had. And parties should be talking. You know, the protectionist approach should be looked at because it doesn't help global commerce. I've just spoken about the crew change, the end-to-end. It's very critical that we look at it and abide by international standards. That is when it comes to Ghana. I think we haven't done badly in Ghana, although we had some teething challenges. We have to ensure that the supply chain, parties in the supply chain coordinate a lot, because you're talking of the carriers, the ports, the transport providers. You need to invest in the port system so that we can have this quick turnaround times. And volumes count a lot, because if I'm coming to Ghana with a certain volume and I'm going to another country with a certain volume, you can appreciate the cost factors and also the container turnaround, because cargo is now struggling for vessels, not the other way around, not vessels struggling for cargo. And I don't know, and people should be, I think some of the things we can do in Ghana, I don't know how it will impact the freight rates as we speak now. But some of the things we should be doing in Ghana are very simple. You know, we should reduce the dwell time of cargo in Ghana. You know,
dwell time.
Yeah, the dwell time of cargo. We have cargo sitting in Ghana for far too long, so that we can't get these empty containers back. You know, one of the things is also that Ghana especially should find a way of reducing abandoned cargo. We have seen an increase in abandoned cargo, and this affects the manufacturers, the sellers, the shipping lines, and somebody benefits, because we all know that these cargoes, when they are auctioned, I mean, you can imagine, I'm sure even government suffers and certain individuals benefit. I know for a fact that we are even talking of going to pick up almost about 300 empty containers at the auction bay for shipping lines. What happened? We've lost all this money. Some freight is not paid, you know, so what happens? And the containers have sat down for a very long time. You can attest with me, I'm sure you've heard some of the US ports trying to levy, some have even started already, $100 a day for a box sitting on the terminal. Obviously, it will be passed on to the final consumer. US is lucky that their interest rates are low now, but what of Ghana?
Is this something you think we can replicate here in Ghana?
If you replicate, what does it do? It goes back to the consumer. And what happens? I don't think our ports are congested so far, you know. But if we can improve the turnaround time.
The fact is that we have a lot of cargo sitting at the port uncleared.
Yeah, so what can we do? The shipping lines, all we do is we knock on the door of these importers, those who brought the cargo, I mean, and we try to do everything to get them to take it. But, you know, the dynamics are a challenge. It's a challenge. We don't know what to do apart from encouraging people to take delivery. And it's unfortunate. Now, it looks like boxes that even come in yesterday will be auctioned against boxes that have been there for years, you know, and we are losing. You know, this all affects our cost of doing business. You know, we are talking of freight rates, and it's global. You know, freight rates has gone up. It's global. I know a couple of shipping lines that had to, that is in Ghana, that were competing with their neighboring countries like Ivory Coast and other places, where their cargo had to be left on terminals because Ivory Coast was even paying better. We are shouting that the rates are higher, but Ivory Coast was even paying higher freight rates. So what happens? They get their cargo on time, you know, and then Ghana might have to wait for a rollover for another vessel, etc. So those are all the dynamics. So it's important that the players, that is those who import the cargo, the carriers, that's the shipping lines, and then the ports, terminals, and transport should always engage, so that we always find innovative ways and quicker ways to do things. So I don't know what.
All right, we'll go. You gave us a video depicting trends in terms of movement of containers, you know, in the global shipping arena. We'll go for that quickly. We can't play all of it, but we'll play bits of it, and then we can, you know, bring viewers, you know, in sync, in line with what we're discussing. And then when we come back, we can now zoom proper into Ghana, and I'll be finding out from you what the relationship of shipping lines, the relation between shipping lines, freight forwarders, importers, has been. And,
no worries.
Going forward, what it should be.
No worries. I'm happy that you'll be airing this. Yes. I wish we could have aired all, but for people to know, I mean, your first question, what is the role of shipping in global trade? Absolutely. This really exhibits it all. So,
all right.
It'll be good.
Okay, so let's take a look at that video. We'll be back right after that.
In late October, over 100 container ships floated in the waters outside of LA, waiting to unload at the dock. The global pandemic triggered sky-high consumer spending on manufactured goods as opposed to vacations or other services. So this bottleneck will persist, according to supply chain analysts like Laura Cesari.
We're going to be facing shortages on the retail shelf. Electric tools, home goods, computers and monitors, or special clothing. Those goods are on those ships in the middle of the ocean. We'll have shortages for the holidays, and then we'll have a glut of inventory because we will have unloaded those containers too late.
Let's follow a single container. How about that one over there? Yeah, on its epic journey along the supply chain to find out where exactly things are breaking down. Since its invention in 1956, the modern container was a game changer for the shipping industry.
You can't talk about supply chain without talking about containers.
According to some estimates, 95% of manufactured goods now move across the world on shipping containers.
A container allows the shipper to transport a box from a rail car or a trucker onto a ship, and then to take the box off the ship onto a rail car or a truck and move it without opening the container and without disturbing the goods, which helps us eliminate theft and damage.
Welcome to the port of Shanghai, China, the busiest port in the world, where our container... No, the one on the right. Yes, that's the one. Good old C18327777251 is one of over 30 million 20-foot containers moved through this port annually. Our container is loaded onto a truck and travels to a manufacturing center in Guangzhou, China, to be loaded up by a forklift with 3,500 pairs of shoes, part of a big order for Walmart in the United States.
The containers are loaded at a manufacturing site and then they're sealed, which basically says that it has been prepared for shipping.
With its passage to Long Beach, California booked, our container is sent back to the port of Shanghai, where it is moved to the dock and onto its designated ship. There's our container being moved onto the ship by a robot crane.
They're very sophisticated. They're the most sophisticated in Europe, more sophisticated in Asia than in North America. The North American shipping industry has been resistant to move to high automation of the cranes.
Our container is now ready to cross the Pacific Ocean, the next phase of its long journey to a Walmart in Chicago.
A large retailer might have a purchase order that will cover multiple containers. I've seen a single purchase order for Walmart cover 50 different containers.
Our container will spend 20 to 30 days at sea, stacked alongside 15,000 other shipping containers. To carry a supersized load, you need a supersized ship. To cut costs, shipping vessels have become a lot bigger over the past few years, and that means they take a lot more time to unload. Many smaller ports can't handle these big boys, putting pressure on large ports like LA that are already struggling to handle the spike in demand caused by pandemic consumer spending patterns, which are centered on imported goods.
When you have this much volume, you have a black hole in the supply chain and you don't know necessarily what's on each container. And the issue is that containers don't have authoritative identifiers. So while you'll go to the grocery store and you'll buy a pack of gum and scan it, it has a unique identifier. A container will have a number, but you've got to see the number, and it's hard to see the number on the ship. Also, the numbers may not be intact.
After a month at sea, our shipping container comes within view of the Port of Long Beach. Together with LA, these sister ports handle 40% of America's inbound sea freight. And traffic is way up because consumers, still rattled by the pandemic, keep spending their money on manufactured goods.
The satellite image for the ports in Southern California show upwards of 100 container ships at sea. Most of them are waiting 10, 15, 20 days, and they're just sitting out, waiting their queue, waiting to be called. If the ocean container carrying ships are not given a spot on the dock, they just sit and wait. And one of the issues is sometimes they can experience weather. And when weather happens, some of the containers fall off the ships and they fall into the ocean. 1 to 5% of containers will actually fall into the ocean. The containers that fall off the ships will basically bob in the ocean. Sometimes, the goods will get wet and sometimes they won't.
More than 3,000 containers went overboard in 2021. But our container survived the 2-week wait, and its ship finally pulls up to the dock. Then, the longshoremen, using cranes, start to unload the containers one at a time. Our container goes onto a chassis that's being pulled by a trucker with a cab to be moved to an inland hub, a process which is known as drayage.
The drayage piece of the supply chain is long. It can be a day and a half, 2 days.
So why does it take that long to move our container essentially a half mile?
The United States ports are some of the most inefficient ports in the world. If we want to look at port efficiency, we should go to Europe and look at the work that Maersk is doing in Rotterdam or the port of Antwerp. Those ports have been invested in, and they're streamlined and much higher visibility, less variability than what we have in the United States.
Ports in America aren't centrally managed or maintained by governments the way highways are. They're often owned by a mishmash of private terminal operators.
There is no centralized control tower or signal to be able to synchronize all of these pieces to be able to align for the supply chain.
Lack of centralized coordination at the port is really obvious when it comes to trucking. There are over 100,000 chassis in Long Beach and LA alone.
Many of those chassis are not functional and they're not enough. And the lack of really good facilities for the truckers to get to the chassis and get to the docks. We don't have good synchronization of the truck drivers to the docks.
The drayage trucker carrying our container has a very small cab designed for quick turns in the tight spaces at ports. To get to a distribution center, we will need a bigger truck to pick up our container from the inland yard and take the long haul across the country.
If we are transporting goods from Long Beach to Walmart, it'll be 5 to 7 days on the road for the truck driver.
When the container gets to a distribution center, receivers look at the number of the container, match it to the paperwork they have. It will then be unloaded, put onto belts, and sorted.
The turnaround in a Walmart distribution center, if those goods are needed at retail, is 10 to 24 hours. It's quick. Sometimes the supply chain doesn't work very well. Either the Walmart distribution center might be full, or the demand at the store changes significantly. So the container could be moved directly to the store from either the distribution center to basically wait for unloading when the store is ready for it. You may see containers on chassis or containers on parking lots waiting to be unloaded at the store itself.
But in the case of our container, it is then moved by rail empty to an inland yard by train, stacked onto a chassis at the port, and hopefully placed onto a ship back to Asia soon. But that could take weeks or months.
But because of the pressures on the ports, many of those empty containers are sitting on chassis in those inland rail yards, and that's twofold of an issue. One, because it's tying up chassis, and the second is we need to get those empty containers back to Asia to complete the route. Many truckers are having trouble returning empties, so you see a lot of truck drivers are just dropping empty containers and chassis, which is becoming a nuisance for a lot of the areas around the ports.
So how do we fix this mess and keep the containers moving?
We need to think about how do we resolve the chassis issue. We need to invest how we move goods chassis free. We basically unload through the cranes onto something like Hyperloop to be able to move those containers inland in these areas in California where land is so premium and it's just not available near the port because it's landlocked, into the inland hubs so that the drivers don't have to deal with the Southern California traffic problems. So
that was a short video, the trends portraying the movement of containers, globally. And one thing that I picked was the fact that was in 2020 or 2021, we lost about 3,000 containers at sea. That's what the narrator said. And this contributes to shortage of boxes too.
You are right, but when you compare it to what we've also lost in the past, I mean, this is manageable. But in shipping, you cannot avoid this completely because we do not necessarily control the environment as much as possible. So unfortunately, that is what it is. But something is called general average in shipping. So when these things happen,
the insurance,
it's not just the insurance, but all the parties who have who have cargo on the vessel would have to also come on board for us to try to help those whom we have
have lost
their boxes.
You know, some of these things we see them in Nollywood movies, Nigerian movies. Say my container got missing on the sea, it fell off the sea, and you just imagine it. But
it happens.
I think the reality is just
yes, it happens.
Right.
It happens.
Right. Okay, so let's come down to Ghana, and like I said I was going to ask you what your relationship with the importers and what do we call them, the freight forwarders, has been over the years. How are your collaborations ongoing, your relationship with them, and what do you hope the future would hold for you in terms of your partnership with these stakeholders, whom you can't work without anyway?
Okay, thank you once again. On the challenges, I just want to also mention, now that we are coming home, piracy has become a big issue for the shipping lines. And as I started by saying that the seafarers are very dear to our hearts, this piracy sometimes ends up, having people maimed and all those things, and it's not healthy. So it's important that the governments around, along the coast should do something. I know certain things are being done, but collaboration in everything is very important. Talk to the lines, appreciate and understand the challenges, and then come up with the right strategies. Now back to importers. You said.
So with piracy, let's we understand that there's a decline in attacks off the Gulf of Guinea. A lot of work is being done there, and so people are wondering whether once that place becomes a bit safe, it will translate into some what do we call it, low, reduced freight rates.
I think everybody wants reduced freight rates, but obviously, if the attacks go down, I mean, definitely it would have an impact, a positive impact on our cost of doing business, and definitely it will be shared. That gains will be shared with the public because, like I said, shipping is a business of conscience, and at the end of the day, we are partners. Those who put their cargo on the vessel and we who move the cargo, we have to always judge, but realities have to also be faced. If I have a cost base and I have to recover, you have to appreciate. Otherwise, I go down, and next time you cannot get your cargo in. So yeah.
All right. So you were not here, but we played that video. That was Ghana Navy receiving 4 fighter vessels from government, and that is to ensure the safety of our installations, oil and gas and all those things, and vessels and all that. What do you make of that particular?
No, I think it's good because I know the Danish government has really tried to. They are playing a key role in this and coordinating and cooperating with our government. So it's a move in the right direction. That's what we can say.
Right.
But I don't think we are out of the woods yet. So we just have to watch the space and hope that things get better.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's come back to Ghana. Shipping lines, freight forwarders, importers relationship.
Importers and shipping lines are in bed. I mean, because they are their direct clients.
Absolutely.
So that relationship can never go sour. That relationship is really close because, I mean, we talk to them, we negotiate with them and all that. When you say freight forwarders, I know my friends would be angry with me, but sometimes it's important for us also to share knowledge and to share so that everybody would appreciate it.
So because I wanted to ask that the freight forwarder is the interface between yourselves and the freight forwarders, and the importers. And the freight forwarder is the interface between the shipping lines and the importers, because the freight forwarder comes to the shipping line on behalf of the importer to clear, to take their goods, and all that. And so I just want to find out how it is that the shipping line can have direct access to the importer without necessarily passing through the freight forwarder.
Oh, but I mean, at the end of the day, legally, we have a legal contractual agreement with the actual importer.
Yes.
So we talk to the importers every time.
Okay.
This is where I want to just highlight something a little bit. At the end of the day, when you talk about the freight forwarders, I would say that freight forwarders per se are very close to shipping lines because most freight forwarders, that's freight forwarding, actually negotiate freights on behalf of their clients,
Importers, yeah.
right? On behalf of their clients. But when you talk about customs house brokerage, that's a different thing. That's what you just enumerated, that they become the interface when after the cargo has been discharged. So there are two different things. So when you mention freight forwarders, shipping lines and importers are always together. Shipping lines, importers, and freight forwarders are always together. Freight forwarders feed us with a lot of information because they also coordinate with the clients. They know what is happening with the clients. We also try to get into the heads and the business of the clients, and then together we make we bring the cargo along. They bring it to us, and then we bring it here. When it comes to the customs house agents also, I don't think there is any antagonism. You know, I keep saying that dialogue is key. And since they have become the interface when the cargo comes in between the shipping line and the actual importer, it's always important for them to see themselves as standing in the stead of the importer. So in that case, they become automatically the client, not technically, but automatically the client. And we have relationship with our clients. So you have to take that relationship and nurture it. And the doors of shipping lines are really open. I think the future is bright. Just a couple of months ago, I was involved where, you know, I think there's an umbrella that you have, give, Cuba, under, you know, and we try to call them that, guys, come and let's dialogue and let's understand some of your challenges because we might be doing certain things that we don't know that is hurting you. And I think we had a very good meeting, I mean, to the best of my knowledge. And we have been pushing for even feedback after that meeting. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened. You know, I talked to individuals, etc. But as a group, all the issues that were discussed, I've been calling, guys, when is the next meeting? Because we are ready to dialogue. We went ahead even after that meeting. One shipping line went ahead to create an environment to say that, hey, come and talk to us. Let's explain our processes to you. And in that meeting, I was fortunate to sit in it. And you could see that there were certain things that one of the clearing agents would complain that, you are doing, I don't want to mention the shipping line's name, you are doing this and I have this challenge, this and that. And his colleague, a clearing agent, would also say, oh, but I don't have any issues with this. I do this and that. So sometimes it's communication. And I must say also that there were other issues that, yes, it cut across. And the shipping lines told them what they can do and what they cannot do. So, like I keep saying, dialogue.
But there's this long-standing issue of, you know, freight forwarders complaining about high, you know, costs, you know, from shipping lines. They mentioned some fees that are being collected by the shipping lines, container administrative charges and all those things. And they think that this is not right. And one issue that bothers them the most has to do with the fact that when their containers are with the shipping lines, it starts accruing demurrage, rent or demurrage, because the container would have to be sent. You know, the guy will have to pick the container first. Now, it's not his fault. It's working at getting it, you know, and you are charging him when you are not working on weekends or public holidays. They think that this shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be applicable.
Okay, let me understand you. What is the issue that they are having, that they don't have access to their containers? Is that correct?
Yes. Their containers are with the shipping lines. They are making frantic efforts to pay and pick the containers. Now, on weekends, the shipping lines are not working, and so they cannot effect payment to get access. On public holidays, which is not they are making frantic efforts. The shipping lines are not working, and so they think that no. And they give a scenario where the days for free, you know, the free days starts counting at a particular point in time where, you know, you don't even, it doesn't make, you know, sense to them. And so it's like, it's a ripoff.
Thank you. Back to your first question. When we started, at the end of the day, how are we going to make things better? Why should we keep containers on you just said it yourself, that there are containers sitting on the terminals for a very long time.
Cleaning.
Yeah, no, hold on. But why are the containers staying there for a very long time? Because cut across, what cuts across is, apart from reefer, which is very different dynamics, all dry boxes minimum enjoy 7 free days. So let's even say the shipping line comes in on Saturday and drops the box. So let's even say they are not working on Saturday and Sunday, right? You have 5 days. Is that not enough to take delivery? If you can't take delivery within 5 days, which is also a free day, then there is a challenge. But the bottom line is, in the past, we have tried to work on weekends. But you go to the office and you have maybe 1 or 2 people coming. And this is all cost. These are the same people complain about cost. Do they want to add more cost to it? You know, and there are a lot of now e-channels opened. I mean, like that engagement that I told you about. You can do everything, because if the port is working 24/7, and yes, terminals the world over, right? But it's not customs the world over. Work along those lines. What stops you from satisfying what the shipping line, wants, prior to that time that you would not have access to the shipping line, and go and pick your boxes? So it's all about dialogue and understanding. I mean, some of these things came up, and this is why I spoke about the clearing agent and the freight forwarder, because the freight forwarder knows the terms of engagement, the contract of carriage, and even the demurrage, etc., is stated on the bill of lading that it includes weekends and holidays, because the shipping line goes to rent the cargo. I mean, they don't own all their containers, right? So if they go in for a long lease, the people that we lease the containers from do not subtract weekends from it.
You'll continue, but let me announce that the phone lines have been activated, and so you can call in. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes.
Yes, so when we are renting the cargo, they don't tell us that at the end of the day, we'll take out all weekends and holidays across the globe, right? And why are we charging them more? Because we want the containers back as quickly as possible. And we all know that apart from the 7 free days that people have, let's say 2 days is even holidays. But just to make a point, some shipping lines work, I think, half day or something on Saturdays. Not on Sundays, though. But shipping lines have announced that there are so many e-channels, that you can still have their staff to work for you. Some of them are automated. So it's about dialogue. I think with that meeting that we had, some of these things came up. And we told them generally what they can do and what the shipping lines also have put in place. So yes, it's a private business. People are working. You have engaged people at a particular point in time. You've engaged them on a certain term. If you are going to review their term, they are all our own brothers and sisters who work in these places, right? And that would also bring in more cost. And where would that cost be? Who should absorb it? If we pass it on, is it going to be a shout? I think the shipping lines will be ready to open their offices 24/7 if we all agree that there's additional cost that should be passed on. If maybe they feel that cost will augment the containers from getting out, whatever, it will impact their cost positively. Let's sit and talk about it. But I don't think it's time for us to open up like that, because you have 5 days, Monday to Friday, you couldn't. Why only the weekend? And the weekend is not the shipping line's fault. And the holiday is also not the shipping line's fault. Just like the importer or the agent will say it's not their fault. And all these things are known ahead. Prior to you putting a cargo on a vessel. A freight forwarder would understand and appreciate, because he kind of most times gets involved in these negotiations. So he knows these things. The clearing agent also know quite a bit, because they are very smart, and they also have these things. And they dialogue with the shipping lines every time. And we know that in this country, about 70%, if I'm not lying, enjoy more than 7 days. They have 14, 21 days. I think 30 days is coming down now. So with all these days, what are we complaining about?
Okay. This one says, it's a message. I'm going to some messages now. This one says, good evening, Mr. Host. Kindly tell your guests that some of the shipping lines offer poor services and they need to up their game this year. This is from Isaac from Tema. And this one says, ask your guest if he will call for frequent auctions by customs to free containers in order to reduce demurrage costs. Dan from Kumasi.
If we will do what?
Ask your guest if he will call for frequent auctions by customs to free containers in order to reduce demurrage costs.
Oh, if we will call for frequent auctions?
Yes, at the ports.
You can ask customs. We are on their neck, right? Even now, we're looking for the process flow for auction because we are very interested in it, right? At the end of the day, yes, it's a cost to us that the cargo is gone to auction, but we are better off getting our containers back. So we've been pushing customs, not just today. I mean, 10, 15, 20 years, we've been pushing for auction. This is what I'm telling you. I mean, next week, for instance, at our own cost, we are going to rent equipment to go for our empties. And what I'm told is we have almost about 300 empties sitting there. That has been sitting there for a long time. So it's something that we need the empties and we'll push for auction.
Where?
Sitting at the state warehouse or wherever, the virtual or wherever it is. You know, because now the containers are used as warehouses. And it's not healthy for the industry. So yes, we would always push for customs to auction. You know.
Now, Isaac feels that some of the shipping lines really are providing poor services and they need to up their game. Do you agree?
Listen, in every situation, there will be challenges. You know, sometimes people make general statements. I recall when we met with Kofax or something, Kofax, quite a number of things came up. I mean, it might surprise you to know that one party said, oh, I have a contract and the shipping line is not abiding by the contract. So you have to take it up. I said, okay, please, can I see the contract so that I can then follow up with the shipping line? The person asked me, why do you have to see the contract before you talk to the shipping line? I said, so what am I going to tell them, that you are ripping off people with that? So it's dialogue. And like I said, the doors are open, right? If you go to the shipping line and you are having challenges, maybe they are not opening their doors, come to the secretariat. The executive secretary is always there. When it hits the fan, she would definitely rope me in.
Right.
And I don't think it will get to that level.
Okay, let's welcome Frank from Takoradi onto the phone lines and we'll continue the discussion. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, boss.
Yes, please flow.
I'm very interested about the discussion that is going on.
Right, thank you.
And I'm sorry that I've lost my voice for today.
That's fine.
But my concern is, you see, the shipping line, I want to know, when a container comes to your logistics, how many years do you use the container before the container gets out of the system? Because some of their containers are old. And then when they give it to the clients, they don't give proper access to the coin signing or the shipper to know that this is the problem that you have in the container. But they just dump the container to the client. He or she also will load his items and bring it to Ghana. When the container comes and the container is cleared, because when items are in the container, you won't know whether there's a hole somewhere or there's a cut somewhere. But as soon as the container gets out and the items are afloat, sending the container back to the shipment, they will tell there's a hole in the container, so you have to pay for it.
Okay, all right.
You still have to pay. And at the end of the day, the driver did not get any accident. There's nothing like that. But where there's a hole somewhere, they will tell you that you have to pay. They will bill you more than 1,000 plus.
Okay. Frank, thank you very much indeed for your call regards to the people of Takoradi. Yeah, he's talking about the condition of containers, boxes, when they come. Some of them, he believes, get rickety over there, they get damaged over there, and then they give it to the unsuspecting importer. It comes here, and then the importer runs into problems and will have to pay monies for no fault of his or hers.
What was the gentleman's name again?
Frank, yes.
Yeah, Frank, thank you for the submission. All these things are good for us to dialogue. Just to let you know, when a shipper approaches a shipping line for a container, the shipping line gives a container to the shipper. We are supposed to give a clean container to the shipper. And the shipper has every right to reject the container. And he can check in with even exporters in Ghana. Some of them reject containers, and the shipping line has to replace them. So with that, it's not that the shipping line trusts the containers on the people. No, the shippers have every right to reject them. As to the timeline, as to that the voyage that the shipping line makes with every container, I'll leave it because everybody, it's a commercial decision and everybody has a different dynamics. When it comes to the damage to containers, some of the damages are so glaring that you would know that as at the time, because I fully agree with him and I fully appreciate that when you are taking containers out, that's why we do something like container condition. But it's the physical things, where we see is what we would note down. And when you take the container and there is a hole in a certain corner, that is why maybe for education purposes, let me tell them, for those...
we have barely 5 minutes.
The freight forwarders know, but the clearing agents, they should know that when you take a container and you open it, or you are taking delivery of the cargo, and you realize that there's a hole in it, call the shipping line. They would let a surveyor come over there, and then they will look at it together or something. But if it happens also after, listen, let's dialogue, because there's a way that this can be ascertained, whether it happened on the terminal, on the vessel, or at your depot. Sometimes people are difficult. Yes, I must admit. Sometimes the shipping lines are difficult.
Let's go for our last caller. We don't have enough time, briefly. And he's calling us from Boche in Accra. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Please flow.
Hello?
Idrisu, yes, sir.
Yes, can I go on?
Please go ahead, yes.
Yes, I just want to find out the shipping lines, they are not working on weekends. But why are they charging demurrage on weekends?
Right. Thank you very much. I think it's a question I asked him. He would just give you a quick response and then we'll move on. We have barely 3 minutes to go.
Okay, it's just to put it simply put, is the terms of contract. When you look at the terms of contract, it's clearly stated there what would constitute demurrage and what would not. So when people look behind the bills of lading, they will see the condition under which demurrage is charged, whether weekend and holidays are involved or not. But it's part of the carriage of contract. Yeah, that's what I'll say. But it's not true that shipping lines are not working on weekends. Some shipping lines, or most of at least our members,
it's been a long time complaint.
Yeah, no, it's there. They open up on, and you can ask some of the clearing agents. They open up to a certain time, but right now also there are a lot of e-channels. So even weekends you can effect your payment, etc. And if you want to work on weekends and we are not open on weekends, right? Why don't you make your payment or submit your bills of lading, which is or change your mode of bills of lading, and you can make your payment online and release happens online. So why should we come to the office?
Okay, do you see shipping lines in Ghana working at reducing cost of shipping?
I don't know when you say that, but if there's investment if there's an efficiency in the system, shipping lines would definitely pass on the efficiency cost, which would then naturally affect whatever is happening. I don't know if you are talking of freight rate or other things, but they also have a cost base. So at the end of the day, that it goes hand in hand, and we should dialogue if they have any issue. It's a commercial issue. These are individual private companies. They have different cost bases, etc. And the importers that the clearing agents represent are clients to the shipping line. So you can always engage. And I said, personally, my doors are open. Bring something and we can take it up and make it an industry issue so that we'll all move forward. So,
all right, so finally, there's a small digression. MSC has overtaken Maersk. What do you have to say about that?
That's good news. It's competition, right? Everybody's dynamics is different. So it's good news. So it's telling you that some people are increasing whilst others are either maintaining. And for all you know, probably MEX doesn't want to be number one. Probably MSC strategy is to be number one. And there are so many things when it comes to number one. What is number one? Is it containers? Is it vessels? What is it? So it's all good. And we are happy that we have two of number one and number two in the country. Yeah. So I think shipping is good going forward.
At one point you were ahead of number one or number two?
Yes, I know. Yes, I know.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Adam Imoyo Ariana. He is an executive member of the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana. Tonight we've been discussing the role of shipping lines in international trade, and he's broken it down for us. I know this conversation could go very far. Just because of time constraints, we have had to cut it down here. We thank our sponsors, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, Goil Company Limited, Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link Network Services, operators of the integrated customs management system icons at the ports. We are grateful to you also for watching. God willing, next week we'll bounce back with another wonderful edition of Eye on Port. Good evening and have a super week ahead.